But the beauty of that history is that, before Cliffwater became a fund manager, back in 2015, we created an index. That was kind of part of the, Cliffwater, particularly our founder, Stephen Nesbitt, was very early on in developing high conviction that private debt was going to become the next big allocation in institutional portfolios, and a growing number of managers that were operating strategies in that space. And one of his observations was really that there wasn't a great benchmark to judge manager performance against. And you see this in every other asset class, but at the time it didn't really exist in private credit. And so his view was, if it doesn't exist, let's go create it. And so he created this index that really just tracks the underlying loan performance of what are called business development companies, or BDCs, which have to provide their loan level data through SEC filings. And so even though the index was created in 2015, it has data that goes back to late 2004. And so you have a 21-year history now that really highlights how this asset class has performed, where the returns have come from, how it's weathered different market environments and parts of the economic cycle. It's seen the GFC, it's seen the Euro debt crisis, COVID, the big inflation spike in 2022. So as much as there's a sort of narrative out there that private credit hasn't been tested, but I'd like to think that there's been a number of big world events over the last 20 years that have really I think given it a degree of resiliency and a good track record of demonstrating not only how it performs in absolute terms, but in comparison to other asset classes like stocks and bonds.
I still didn't get, though, the answer to the question I want, Phil, and you're going to learn my personality here as we go, is I will ask the question the same time in different ways until I get the answer that I'm looking for, which is back to the index and quarterly published index information. Do we as advisors have access to your quarterly? I get you wrote a paper and that's great. We're going to disseminate that. But do we as advisors or do our listeners as the public have access to your quarterly published index data and information related to that?
Yeah, unfortunately not for the general public. It's not readily available. But for advisors, there's access to the index data.
You answered my question.